Ladies and gentlemen, today we're looking at Trap, the new film written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Josh Hartnett and Shalika Shyamalan, his daughter. Shyamalan's movies are best described, in my opinion, as some of the movies of all time. The most I can say about some of them is that he seems to think of some pretty good concepts and ideas for film where you hear it and you're thinking, oh, this might actually be pretty cool and unique. Only it just kind of falls flat in the end for most of his films. Other times it's more. In this film, we follow Josh Hartnett's character, a serial killer, and his daughter, played by Ariel Donahue, attending this pop concert where everything seems kind of normal at first until he starts realizing that the building is surrounded by police and SWAT covering the whole area. He soon just comes to learn that the police are there to catch him because they are aware that the serial killer is going to be attending the concert, but they don't know who it is. And we follow him as he tries to find a way out without being caught. So immediately, the first thing I want to point out is Josh Hartnett's performance. The way he delivers his dialogue and interacts with others, it really makes you feel like he's putting up this massive act, hiding who he really is. And it's pretty unnerving to watch. He really sold to me that he's a psychotic killer trying to live as a normal husband and father. So much so that it took me a bit to get used to other characters in the film not immediately having massive red flags go off just by talking to him. But you kind of buy into it if you're used to seeing M. Night written dialogue scenes like this, which could be a bad thing to some, but to me, I was pretty into it. It didn't bother me. Even though you know he's a terrible person, you still kind of feel like rooting for him. He's a father who really wanted to take his daughter to a concert as a reward for getting good grades. So, since we're in his perspective, we get to feel how he feels in this near impossible situation to escape from. So, it really makes you kind of empathize with him. That's a really hard thing to pull off in anything, and it really works here. He does some pretty ballsy things in full confidence as well to find his way out too, and it works into the suspense. The first half of this film is pretty much like that. Pretty suspenseful moment-to-moment scenes where I was fully invested in how he was going to manage to escape. Also, I should mention, all this is happening with him walking around while the concert is playing out, and the lead singer of that concert is Shalika Shyamalan, M. Night's daughter. This was 100% a move by M. Night to kind of, subtly, not so subtly advertise his daughter's performance career, not just as an actor, but as a singer and performer. I believe she even wrote an entire album for this movie, which is kind of nuts to me. So I don't have any issues with it for the most part, the way the scenes are played out, until we start getting to where she actually starts acting, and it's not good. The film really tries to make her an important character for the second half, and it falls completely flat to me. I'm sure M. Night putting her into the movie was just out of fatherly love and whatnot, but it really came to the detriment of the film. We don't get to know her character at all for the majority of the film, and then all of a sudden she becomes the most important character, and it just feels really forced. I'm sorry to say, but her acting chops just aren't there. You don't buy her character doing any of these things that she's doing, but it's also definitely due to the script and not just her acting, because I don't want to seem like I'm really hating on her. That just goes into my main issue with the film, which is the second half. Pretty much all the suspense built up and a lot of the mostly well thought out scenes that logically make sense in this world just get kind of thrown out for another useless M. Night Shyamalan twist and some cartoonish scenes that make zero sense. Some of the lost momentum is due to Shalika's character, for sure, but it's mostly just due to the direction and the choices made that leads to events and scenes taking far too long and elongating the runtime of the film. It feels like if you were to cut 15 to 20 minutes off the film, it probably wouldn't be as bad, but you really start to feel it after a certain point. There are some questionably weird moments, and at points it almost feels like the serial killer is just teleporting from one spot to another. I started chuckling after a point there because it's just I just don't understand how something like that could happen. And it definitely wasn't being helped by the really awful twist ending. Just could have done without it, honestly. By that point, I was already fully clocked out and was waiting for it to end. It's a bummer because the first half is genuinely a really solid suspense film and genuinely had me wondering what was going to happen next. In short, though, this to me just was another M. Night movie that promised a really interesting premise. It's pretty solid for the most part, but just kind of gets lost and doesn't do anything else interesting. Yeah, I'd probably give this around a 2 out of 5. Even with a pretty solid first half, getting my hopes up for at least a good M. Night movie, finally, again, it just dropped off pretty bad and never picked up steam again afterwards. I really hope to see more of Josh Hartnett in the future, because I thought he was pretty great in this, even through that second half. And I hope Shalika makes a good buck off of this, because making a whole album for this film is pretty crazy to me. Well, thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next review. Or you can catch my streams. I'm going to try to stream games and other things somewhat regularly, probably at around 9 p.m. EST. So if you feel like checking that out, why don't you just hop in when you see one? Well, I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.